And now it's only right we hear from the person who kicked all of this off, Jimmy Wu, founder and CEO of Zappy. He is the driving force behind reshaping how people ship, connect, and grow online. He is here to share a future-focused keynote on the selling and shipping tech stack. Please welcome Jimmy to the stage.
Thanks, Mela. Hello, good afternoon. This year's topic is about selling and shipping to and in Australia. So I'm going to talk about some tech stack, and I'm not going to bore you with a lot of AI because I think you probably get sick of hearing the word AI. So I'm not going to say too much about that. It's just some simple out-of-the-box solutions. So first of all, why Australia? I think some of the earlier guests have covered that. Australia is, the e-com market is 10 times the size of New Zealand. And it's 5 times the population, but twice as many people in Australia shops online. And we have a similar time zone, and we culturally similar, and we speak the same language, and we are in close proximity of each other. And also, don't forget, we have a free trade agreement, so a lot of the stuff that you be shipping to Australia would not incur a tariff. And also, Australian also likes the New Zealand brands. You know, they trust the New Zealand brands. And finally, Zappy is now in Australia, so we can help you guys if you're interested to sell in Australia or around the world. Let's talk about failures. So, over the years, a lot of well-known big retailers from New Zealand have tried to enter Australia, and they have failed. So let's learn about their failure and why they failed. So the Warehouse Group, unlike in New Zealand, the Warehouse Group had strong distribution network. In Australia, because the vast geography, that makes the supply chain costs a lot higher, and they failed to secure a good prime retail location because a lot of the prime locations are already taken up by the big retailers over there like Kmart's and Big W's. And also they couldn't match the competition and the bulk buying powers of the likes of Kmart and Big W. Pumpkin Patch is another one. They opened too many stores and they did it too quickly. Again, when you're opening a lot of store, that's associated with high rent costs and operation costs. And again, they got strong competition like Cotton On Kids. Dick Smith is another one. I don't know if you guys still remember Dick Smith. Basically, the problem was they are loaded with debt, and they had poor inventory management. They stock a lot of outdated electronic goods at high prices, and they couldn't compete with the like of Amazon and JB Hi-Fi because they offer better pricing and online convenience. Pesco's another one. They were struggling to differentiate themselves from the like of Michael Hill's, and they also had hard with the GSC. Bandon, strong local competition in Australia was Bonds, Brass and Things, and they tried to rebrand, but they lost touch with their core customer. So the key lesson that we learned from that is, number one, don't overspend, don't do it too fast. Try to understand the local competition. Adapt the branding and marketing. What sometimes works in New Zealand doesn't always work in Australia. And manage the costs carefully, especially like rent and shipping, and avoid debt, basically. But there are some good news. So there are also some successful case of New Zealand company have made it in Australia. Michael Hill's is one that Michael Hill now has more store in Australia than they do in New Zealand. Their branding is consistent, the same everyday luxury, and they did some successful acquisition over there, and they use an omni-channel approach, so both online and offline with physical store. Biscoe was another one. They did a pure online play, so they didn't avoid that costly store expansion. So no physical store means lower risk, and they focus on niche by one of their brand, Rebel Sports. Okay, this one's, we'll skip that one. Okay. So Zuru. Zuru did well from leveraging social media. So I think we talked about TikTok and social media. They did really well with that, and then they partner with the big retailers over there like Kmart and Big W. Allbirds, they really resonate with the eco-friendly brand that resonate with the green consumers over there, and also their direct-to-consumer approach avoided the reliance on stores. So the key takeaways from that is you adapt without losing your core identity. Start small, test the market, avoid overexpansion, partner with local retailers, and target a niche. So let's talk about the tech stack if you want to be selling and shipping in Australia. So Shopify, in terms of the selling platform, Shopify is still by far the most popular platform in Australia, followed by WooCommerce and Squarespace. And in terms of marketplaces, eBay and Amazon is probably the most prominent over there. Temu, which we hear from later on, is up and coming, and they're making a huge impact over there. And then you got some more specific like JB Hi-Fi, the Iconics, which is JB Hi-Fi is in the electronic product, and the Iconic is in the fashion industry. And then the most popular carriers in Australia is Australia Post, AMX, Couriers Please, TNT, that does all your domestic under 25 kg packages. And then you got the like of Allied that does your over 25 kg packages. And then you got the like of FedEx that is international small packages. So you can imagine when you are selling on all these platforms and you're using all these different carriers, it's quite complicated to manage all that. So that's where Zappy come in. So Zappy basically, it's a middleware that sits between those systems. It provides shipping automation. It syncs all your orders from all your selling platforms, and basically pass the order from your shipping platform to the carrier, and also does return as well. So we heard about payments from Jinjin before. So the most popular payment system in Australia is still credit cards, which I think Wilfirst could help you guys with. That is, we recommend that you accept local payment and not try to convert, not try to do dynamic conversion. And PayPal is another good, still very popular in Australia. And then you got the buy now, pay later platform like Afterpay if you want to, especially if you want to sell to the millennial market. And in terms of compliances, we heard from Evalera before about tariff, tax calculation, and we're actually talking to Evalera at the moment. Zappy is going to integrate with them, so when you send, every time you send an item to overseas, we could do the tariff calculation inside Zappy. And then in terms of marketing, Google, Meta, and TikTok, it's the most popular marketing source. So in terms of selling, the top sellers are still fashion, health, electronics. It's probably the three top sellers, and then home, I think, followed by home. But yeah, do your research on your demand on your product in Australia. Start small, test the market, localize your content. Like for example, in New Zealand we call jandals jandal, but in Australia they call jandal thorn. So stuff like that. And I know we talked about, whether we need to set up a local company in Australia or not. I think if you are selling directly from New Zealand and if you're shipping from New Zealand, you probably don't need to set up a local company. But when you hit certain threshold, then you will have to. But also Australian will more likely to buy from you if you have a local presence. If you have a local company, you have a local company address, and you have local support. It's all about building trust, and I think the Australian will be more likely to buy from you if you have a local presence. And then again, for your website, we recommend using .com.au. That is better for your SEO, and also for again building that trust. People like Australian like to buy from a website that have a .com.au, and so if you do want to go down that route, if you want to buy a .com.au domain name, you do need to register a business in Australia. So you do need an ACN or ABN number to buy the .com.au domain names. And then also leverage on marketplaces, like Temu. So 80% of consumer expect delivery within 3 days in Australia. So if on your website you're saying that you deliver in 5 days, most likely they would not buy, and they would abandon the shopping cart. So if you're selling something small, we recommend express service. So we can do express service directly from New Zealand to Australia, and most of the time you can get there within 3 days. So most of the time you can get there faster than if you would send something domestically in Australia. But if you are selling something larger, I would recommend maybe looking at a local 3PL in Australia. So Zappy do partner with a number of 3PLs in Australia. Just give you an example, we come across this customer, they sell 3D printed furnitures. So something like that is not heavy, but they're quite bulky. So to ship from New Zealand to Australia is very expensive. And so what they do is they are now talking to one of our 3PL in Australia and looking at perhaps setting up one of the 3D printer inside one of the 3PL. So when they get the order, they will get it printed in Australia instead of printed in New Zealand, and then they will just get it shipped locally. T-shirt is another good business. So we've got quite a few T-shirt clients, and again, those 3PL can print those T-shirts for you as well. So you don't have to stock up a lot of different SKU. You just have some blank T-shirts in stock, and they can print the design for you when you get the order. And the number one cause of delay is incorrect address. So you can use a system like Zappy to validate your address before you send the stuff out. And also use a system like Zappy to fill out your custom declaration to avoid delay. Mark your shipment as NZAUCER for faster custom clearance, and avoid sending bio-risk items, because those items will get stopped and delayed. So 49% of shoppers abandon their cart due to high shipping costs. So you can leverage aggregator like Zappy to access our bulk buying discount. So it's like Jin, how Jin they buys the Forex in bulk from banks and they sell it to you at a cheaper rate. So that's basically what we do. We buy the courier rate in bulk from the courier, and we sell them to you at a discount. So that's what we do. And also, Zappy would be able to offer multiple carrier option at checkout as well. And it's all about managing your customer expectation, and because sometimes, you have to be transparent with your customer. If they want something fast, and they will have to pay the extra for express service. But if they want to choose a cheaper shipping option, then you have to let them know it's going to take longer. So it's all about giving customer that choice, and just being managing that expectation. And then you can use a system like Zappy to optimize your packaging size, because carrier would charge you not just based on weight, they will charge you on the size of your package. So like I bought something from Amazon this big, and they send it to me in a box this big. So it's cost you to ship air, and also Zappy able to allow you to ship from multiple locations. So you can always choose to ship from, if you do have multiple warehouses, you can always ship from the nearest location to the customer to save you on the shipping fee. So 65% of shopper abandons the cart due to lack of clear policy on returns. So you want to have a very clear return policy on your website. Offer customer hassle-free return, don't charge them a return fee, provide instant refund in local currency. Prepay return label is another one that Zappy could offer. So when you send something out to a customer, include a return label for the easy return of the product. And this way you build trust with the customer, and we don't charge you for the label if it's not get used. But it just shows the customer you are being considerate, and also Zappy's got a branded return portal. You can sort of use that as to find out why a customer is returning the product, and try to offer them an alternative, especially if it's fashion. If they return it because it's the wrong size, and you could offer them a different size. Try to turn a negative customer experience to a positive one, and turning return into return customers. 54% of consumer consider tracking being very or extremely important. 88% of customer wants SMS and email tracking updates. So as you can see from the video, Zappy could provide a branded tracking update for your customer, again being transparent and manage the customer expectation. So I'll give you an example of Lego. I'm a Lego fan myself, so I bought some Lego from lego.com. They send me a tracking link for my item. I click on it. It takes me to a carrier website where I actually have to copy and paste the number into the field to track my item. So that wasn't a great experience, and wasn't something that I expected from someone like lego.com. I expected that the shopping experience, there should be a branded, the tracking page will be branded as Lego with Lego color, and I shouldn't have to copy and paste the tracking number. So we talked about payment. So like in Australia, like I said, credit card is the most popular payment method, PayPal, and then buy now, pay laters, and offer the AUD pricing, avoid dynamic conversion fees, and use multi-currency payment gateway. And in terms of fraud prevention, use tools like Stripe, Radar, Signified. Marketing, target Australian keywords, and I think you can use SME Rush to find Australian keywords. run Australian focused campaign. Again, localized content, localized promotion, local influencers, use.com.au domain, use local web hosting for faster loading, and also for Google Analytics 4 have a separate Google account for that. In terms of legal, I think we heard from Andy early on. And Australia's consumer law is more strict than the New Zealand Consumer Guarantees Act. Product safety and standard is important, especially around toys, electrical goods. Also, Australia's got a Privacy Act similar to ours. You use SSL certificate for your website, GDPR data protection, and so on. So finally, I want to leave you with this thought. 70% of consumer makes buying decisions based on emotion rather than rational factors. So those emotions is trust, transparency, and empathy. So trust is built by being transparent and empathize with customers. Being transparent is about, like Andy talked about before, try to avoid those fake reviews, being transparent, and transparent with your return policy, and being empathetic about returns. If someone bought something, they need to return it, being helpful, make the return process easy for them. It's all about building trust, because when you're a new brand going into a new country, when you don't have a lot of that history, people need to trust you, and you need to build that trust. And I think AI is great, but it can't replace that emotion. Thank you.